This week I learned lighting in here, it's way too hot. No more wearing suits. I realize I say that as I'm wearing a sweater to do this, but it's 31 degrees outside right now, so anyways. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update, the last for the month of January of 2025. Yes, I'm doing this a little different today because if you haven't been watching the end of year awards, I've had to completely destroy my room to do the presentation as I was, so got one more of those to make. So I figured I'll just go ahead and do the weekly update like this because I don't want to change everything back just for the weekly update and then change it back to do the last night of my end of year awards. But yes, we survived the winter storm out here. We did get snow, which is very rare in Texas. And I know some of you laugh when I say it's 30 degrees in Houston. That's Arctic to us, guys. We're very, very close to the equator. It gets warm here. We're used to the warm. Just like how we kind of laugh when people freak out about a Category 1 hurricane up north. But hey, these are just the things that we go through as a nation. But I did have a very fun week. We're getting to it like usual, guys. Talking about what am I reading. I did complete The Rose and the Thorn by Michael J. Sullivan. Again, another awesome adventure with Royce and Hadrian. This one's just really dark, man, because Royce is just doing some messed up things in here. And Royce, he always does messed up things, but this is like, wow. Like, I mean, you would think by comparison, he has some humanity in I guess in Revelations, which chronologically it's later in the series, but publication it's not. But anyhow. Yeah, very interesting seeing how they're kind of connecting a lot of these things. There's a lot of characters. Like, at first, I didn't recall who a certain character was. And I don't want to say the name because, reasons. But I was like, okay, I don't know who this character is, why this character is significant. And then I'm like, oh, that character is in Revelations. I just completely forgot their name. Like I said, it's been like 5 years since I read that book. So it was really interesting seeing that. It's fun seeing some of those characters that, we thought we'd never see again because of, it being a prequel. You're able to see some of those characters and stuff. Maybe some characters that are no longer with us in the main storyline. So it's really cool. It's just awesome. 2 for 2 so far on Rhaenyra Chronicles. And these are just so easy to read, guys. So fun. And when I say that, I think people get that misinterpreted as me saying, oh, it's like you don't have to be very smart or something. That's not what I mean at all. These are intelligent books, and I think it has a lot of plot lines, a lot of things that come to head at just the right moments, and some very, very serious character arcs and threads that kind of go dangling. And it just doesn't weigh you down with a lot of that stuff that a lot of modern fantasy does. Where it seems like they don't have an editor anymore. Yeah, no problem with that. With Michael J. Sullivan, the books continue to just slay. The guy is he's awesome. When he's writing Royce and Hadrian, he's just unstoppable. He's one of the best to do it. And Royce and Hadrian, without a doubt, my favorite modern fantasy duo. They are so great. I don't have very much to tell you about Lightfall yet because I'm only in chapter 3. I did obviously get stuck into the Royce and Hadrian mystery and adventure, and I wanted to kind of see what happened there. But that will be full steam ahead for that this week. That's what I'll be working on. But I really don't have a ton to really tell you about this yet. I'll be actually talking to the author very soon, which we'll get into when we talk about next week plans. But it's an interesting premise is all I can say. I really haven't gotten very far into it. I feel like I could tell you anything more than I told you last week. So stay tuned until next week, and I'll try to give you a little bit more about Lightfall going forward. So moving into what am I going to read? Obviously, this is going to be it. This is it for all of next week. I'm trying to get this done before the end of January. That way we can get back on our read-along, which I'll talk about in a second. But yeah, did I probably mean to do 2 Royce and Hadrian books this month? No, but it's just they're kind of like Lay's potato chips. You can't have just one. But I'll get back into this this week, and then it will be on to our read-along, which will be book 2 in the Echo Saga. This is going to be Empire of Dirt. Does that make anybody think about the 9 Inch Nails song or the Johnny Cash song? It's a cover by 9 Inch Nails. Hurt, Empire of Dirt. Yeah. Anyway, if you know, you know. But that's what made me think of that title. I'll have to ask the author if that's what he was doing. Because I actually did ask him. I told my kid I was reading this, and he was very interested in the name Asher, and he was like Asher because that's the protagonist of the series. He's like, did he get that name from the character in The Giver? Because my kid is reading The Giver by Lois Lowry in junior high right now, and I actually contacted Philip about it. He was like, no, it's not where I got it from. But it's very cool that he makes himself that accessible. I can ask him questions as silly as that. But this is fun. If you guys want to join along on a read-along, jump on the Discord. I got the links in the description down below. You can jump on board and join us for this. The first book was for January, then February, March. So plenty of time still for you to catch up. It's not a very difficult read. At least the first one wasn't. We all kind of blew through it in a few days. And I think audio people were getting through it even faster. So I think if you do that, there's no problem for you to catch up if you still want to catch up with us. And even if you haven't, we have a separate thread in the Discord for just the Echo saga as a whole. So if you don't want to wait for everybody for the read along, or if you're still trying to catch up, there'll be plenty of people to engage with and talk about there. So I hope you guys will join us for that. This week on the channel, obviously, doing my end of the year book awards. Now, this is one of those things where I talked about it last week. I wasn't sure I was going to do it. I'd had some computer issues, still having them, in fact. That's a totally different story to talk about. Where I'd had some computer problems, and I meant to put this stuff all out in December, and I just kind of got lost due to time and availability, and the files were all on my computer while it was in the shop. And when I got it back, I'd lost some of it, and I was just like, I don't even know. It's January now. Do I still want to do it? But enough people said they wanted to do it. So I went ahead and started releasing some of it. And I broke it into 3 nights. And that's just because it was so long to edit. It took a long time to record, a long time to edit. And the thing was, like, I never anticipated how long it was going to take to edit some of these things. So that's why that's kind of all I got out this week. I didn't really, I know I promised you guys the Witchcraft for Wayward Girls review by Grady Hendrix. But again, I just didn't. Just making like those title cards was just so time consuming, and I just ran out of time. That's just what happens sometimes. Hey, a lot of times, guys, I have more ideas than time, and that's a perfect example of it. But we did it in 2 nights. First night was best horror novel, sci-fi novel, fantasy novel, historical fiction novel, best novella or short story collection, and best comic or manga series. That was the first night. Night 2 was best heroes, best villain, best couple, animal companion, prose, ending, and special edition. That was everything that we covered over those nights. I did happen to notice that the interest in night 2 was about half of what it was for night 1. That's going to happen. You expect things like that. Kind of sucks because I thought that the categories in night 2 were much better. And I also thought that I was better dressed in night 2. There's that. But yeah, wearing the suit under those lights when it was not 30 degrees outside was a bad plan because it got a little warm up here. So I'm glad that the parts where I was actually speaking to the camera was more greatly reduced than the actual video packages and stuff. But I had fun with it. I got a lot of feedback on it, mostly good. Some things not so much. Some things, this is cringe and things like that. That's fine. That's why I don't usually do material like that, guys. That's why I stick to just the fixed camera angle. I don't do any goofy stuff. But I love old school award shows, opening the envelopes and giving the little monologues and stuff for each topic. That's always something I've been interested in. It made me realize I need to invest in a teleprompter, apparently, if I'm going to keep doing that, because having to memorize those monologues, quite fun. And yeah, you only see the finished product. You don't know how many takes some of those monologues did take. But yeah, it's a good time. I had fun doing it. I hope you guys did enjoy it. And that brings me to next week plans, which is where we'll be doing the 3rd and final night of the Book Awards. Now, this will be much more organized next year. I'll have it all done in December when everybody's doing their end of the year awards. It'll probably replace a lot of my other awards that I do at the end of the year, so it doesn't seem just redundant, So I think that I'll kind of liquidate a lot of this stuff into one deal, and that way I feel like maybe more attention could be paid to something like this. But again, I know by this point of the year, everybody's already into 2025, and they don't care about what last year was. But for me, it was an opportunity to kind of look at some of those other books that I really, really enjoyed, give them some recognition. Look at some things like best couples, best animal companion, stuff that you don't get because everybody does. Best author, best book, best series. Everybody does that, and I do those as well. But I want to make sure I got some other things out there. It's kind of like when MTV Awards used to do like Best Kiss and stuff like that. I thought that was a really interesting idea. I'll also be getting out my February TBR a little later this month. Obviously, this all just kind of just derailed me here. But I'll be getting out my February TBR, talk about those books I do plan to read in the month of February. Obviously, you already know about Empire of Dirt, so if you're in on that read-along, you knew that was coming. But there'll be some other surprises on there, I do think. You want to join for some of them, I would love to have you for all those. Again, Discord link, down in the description. Hit it. Join us there. I'll try to get out that Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. I almost want to call it Witchword for Witchcraft Girls. Witchword for Wayward Girls. Witchcraft for Wayward. Oh, Grady Hendrix and his titles. I'll be getting that one out hopefully this week. Just depends on how long it takes me to get out this night 3 thing and then the TBR. So if it ends up sliding to the next week, yeah, sorry. But again, it's just what time does. It just catches up with us. And it's hard to get everything done that I want to get done. But I will be doing a review for that book. Do not worry. And then Sunday, I'm not on my channel, but for TBRCon, I will be moderating a panel for them. If you guys don't know TBRCon, they just have a big old collection of authors and YouTubers and other influencers within the medium, and they just talk about a certain topic. I have drawn the card of keeping the classics fresh, vampires, zombies, and werewolves. And that's really interesting since I am reading Lightfall right now, which has werewolves and vampires, as well as Ed Crocker, the author, and he will be on said panel. So that's really cool that I'm actually going to be reading the book, that I'm going to have one of those authors on that panel as well as many others. So I hope you guys will join us for that on Sunday afternoon, because last year I was a guest. This year I get to be a moderator, and that's exciting times for me. Maybe next year I'll actually move up a little higher and I'll get to plan some stuff. Who knows? It's all upward trajectory here. At least I do hope that is the way that it feels. So I hope that's the way that it keeps going. That's about all I got for the books, guys. Got a couple of TV and movie talk things here before I go. The Oscar nominations. Speaking of award shows, the Oscar nominations came out. Look, I don't really watch the Academy Awards anymore, mostly because the Academy makes just such asinine decisions. I never agree with hardly anything that they do. What I was really annoyed with this year, like Dune Part 2 got 5 Oscar nominations. That's less than Part 1, which surprised me. I really thought it was just going to be huge this year. It did get its Best Picture nomination. It's not going to win. I guarantee you Wicked will probably win. And that's because the Academy hates science fiction, guys. It took 2 years of fan rallies and complaining and just bitching to the Academy for them to recognize Lord of the Rings. But finally, like, okay, all right, shut up, nerds. Here, we're going to give you everything for Return of the King. Now you can leave us alone for 20 years. And that's basically what's happened. So I just can't believe that Denny V got robbed again for Best Director. I mean, what an incredible achievement, just getting an unfilmable book made to great success like he did with Dune. Whether you like the adaptation or not, what he did, you have to admire what he did. To not even get nominated for Best Director for either movie, it just shows why people don't take the Academy seriously. So it's a real shame. It's a real tragedy. They didn't let Hans Zimmer get nominated because they claimed that the music was too similar to Dune Part 1. I don't know. The Academy has always just had their head up their ass, and it's just hard to take them seriously. And it's for reasons like this. And I'm not saying that other movies aren't worthy of the awards that they're getting or the nominations that they're getting. I hate as a sci-fi fantasy fan seeing how it just, and horror, just seeing how it continues to just get disrespected by the Academy as if it's like not a real media, like it's not important, like it doesn't actually exist or something. And I feel like as sci-fi fantasy readers, that's the way that we always get treated. Kind of like heavy metal listeners, we get treated like it's not an actual real musical genre. That's kind of how I feel like the Academy treats all things SFF, and it's very, very disappointing because I thought if anything could break through, it could be a darling like Denny V with a story as classic as Dune. I thought for sure that this would be the one. If it wins Best Picture, I'll do something on this channel to eat humble pie. Nothing that would get my channel deleted. But most people say I'll eat my hat. I'm not actually going to eat my hat, but I'll do something unusual just because I would be stunned. I'd be stunned if Dune Part 2 wins Best Picture. Even if I do think it is deserving of it, if for anything, as for just an achievement. Like Return of the King probably wasn't the one that should have won the Oscars. I don't know, that's kind of up to debate. That's probably not the one that should have won all the awards. But they gave them all to Return of the King as like just a celebration of the achievement of the whole trilogy. And that's why it won every award it was up for that year. And maybe because of a little bit of fan campaigns and a lot of bitching. Squeaky wheel gets the grease, guys. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. And one day they will recognize sci-fi and fantasy again. I do hope. The Silo Season 2 finale did come out. It is a little different. It is a little different from the book. It's a little bit more cliffhangery than I was expecting. I expected to kind of have almost a closed ending, kind of like they did with Part 1 or Season 1. I felt like Season 1, I wouldn't say it resolved everything, but it wasn't like in the middle of is this character alive or not scene. That was actually rather surprising. So some upgraded roles for some characters, and that's what I said I'd like the show better than the book, is I do feel like it's given a lot of those secondary characters a lot more life than they had in the book, and I really, really appreciate that. Some people died that didn't die in the book. Some people are alive that aren't alive in the book. So it's really interesting to see where they're going to go with it, because I feel like it's been somewhat, mostly faithful. I would say a good 3/4 faithful compared to something like Wheel of Time or Witcher. It's super fucking faithful. But it's just one of those things where I'm accepting that they're going to need a little bit of wiggle room. And I think this writing team's really good. They're really, really good. They're taking a great idea and making it better, I think. So I'm excited to see where they're going with seasons 3 and 4. They did get renewed for season 3 and 4, and they're going to get to tell the whole story. And this is all moving into stuff I don't know because I haven't read books 2 or 3. So with the way that kind of like the epilogue of the season was, where it's doing like a little bit of flashbacks, and I've heard that book 2 is nothing but flashbacks. I wonder how hard they're going to lean into that for season 3 and presumably 4. Maybe 4 will be book 3. I don't know how they're going to do it. But I trust this team to adapt this story very well, and hopefully it doesn't lead to them just saying, okay, well, now we're just going to do our own thing. I hope not. I hope not, because I do like them to, even though I haven't read it, I like them to stick to source material and respect the author's original vision. That's what I'm hoping that they do, because I feel like they have been very respectful to that up to this point, and they've just kind of expanded on it and made it a little bit better. Sonic the Hedgehog, number 3. Watched it for family movie night with my kids. Look, I think that this franchise as a whole should be a lesson to journos, to filmmakers, to studios, that fans aren't the enemy. Because you remember when they released that first screenshot of Sonic and he didn't look like the Sonic the Hedgehog we all know and love and grew up with? And instead of doing the thing that other studios have done, which is just blatantly attack the fans and then the movie comes out and flops, they said, you're right, we're going to delay the movie and we're going to fix it. And they fixed it, and this is a successful franchise now. 3 successful movies in this franchise now. And in my opinion, 3 pretty good movies. I've had a good time with all. Look, I'm going to make you understand these are for kids. These are for kids movies. If you're someone like Gen X that grew up with Sonic the Hedgehog, sure, it has a lot of things in there for the parents as well. I laughed the whole movie. That's the thing. I'll be honest. I think Jim Carrey was funnier in part 2 than he was in part 3. But Knuckles, oh my God, he was a laugh a minute in this movie. Great. Just great. I have such a blast watching these movies. Kids love it. Wife loves it. I love it. We're having a great time watching these. And Jim Carrey playing 2 roles was an interesting choice. But again, I'm just glad that Jim's just being Jim finally. He wanted to be a serious actor for so damn long. And people forgot what it was that they liked about Jim Carrey in the first place. We like him when he's being silly. We like it when you like, we're saying liar, liar. A lot of people made a lot of money doing that by making weird faces. That's why we all kind of fell in love with Jim Carrey back in the In Living Color days, those who know. But these movies, they're entertaining, and they're already making a part 4. The way that they do their kind of their post credits. It was a post credit scene, wasn't it? I don't know. I think Marvel just kind of ruined me on post credit scenes now. With the post credit scene, is it set up something? I'm like, it's not the best. Like with Shadow, I was like, okay, this is gonna be awesome. Oh, we'll see. We'll see. Do Metal Sonic, do Amy, things like that. It's cool. I'd like that they're continuing to expand on this universe, and I hope this leads Sega to saying, "Hey, let's make a what is it, Golden Axe movie or something like a Phantasy Star movie." Why not? Why not? Go for it. I say strike while the iron's hot. But I think they're going to keep making Sonic movies until people stop going, and I credit them for it. It's a celebration. This franchise is a celebration of realizing that fans are not the enemy. You listen to the fans, and look, you've got 3 very, very successful movies. And I think it's just great. It's great. It's great movies for kids. They're nostalgic for us older folks. And they're good family movies, man. I think they're really, really entertaining. And I have a really fun time. Even though I was against it being, the Roger Rabbit style, the real life with animated characters in it. I was kind of against that when I first heard about it. But it actually, somehow it does work out. And the human characters actually made me laugh a bit in this one, where I kept feeling like the first 2, I was like, I could have done without the human. It's like a Godzilla movie. I don't need to see the human characters. I just want to see the monsters fight. This is the first one I felt like the human characters are actually pretty funny. I laughed a few times with them. But it's very much, mom and dad humor. There's nothing that's really like offensive or anything. There's a Pokemon joke in it, though, that just killed me. I've been saying it around the house to my dog. And if you watch the movie, you'll understand. But I've had a great time with it, and I think you guys would if you have kids. Or if you grew up in the 80s with Sega, I think that you would have a good time with it as well. So guys, what are you up to? I would love to know. Why don't you drop in the comments. Let me know what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're listening to, what you're playing. And I will talk to you there.